Do you have a dated outdoor light or floodlight at your home that needs updating? Are you also looking to smarten up your home with a security camera? Why not take care of two things at once? That's where the Reolink TrackFlex Floodlight comes in. I will be going over everything from setup and app settings to a battery of real-world testing. I'm Wanderer001. Let's get into it. To start things off, Reolink did reach out to me and provide me with the TrackFlex for the purposes of doing a review. However, they do not get a say into the content of this video. If we start things off at the top of our floodlight camera, you have two LED 3000 lumen that can be adjusted between 3000 to 6000 Kelvin, allowing for 40 feet of lighting distance. Each of those lights has a slight adjustability to it in that it can do 45 to 10 degrees vertical with 70 degrees horizontal. So there is a certain level of customization and light placement that you can get with this. In the middle right here, there is a speaker. Just under that is a little Reolink branding. And then what might be a little tricky to see, but right there in the center and on either side, those are PIR sensors. Those are heat-based motion sensors. Yes, this is a powered device that has pixel-based detection because the PTZ portion has both the cameras on it. Let's say something comes over from the right or the left, or you have your PTZ camera pointed behind for whatever reason. These PIR sensors allow it to pick up motion and direct the cameras right to where that motion is coming from, which is really cool in my opinion. As we come down, there is a microphone as well as two 850 nanometer IR lights, which have a viewing distance of up to 100 feet. For me, I have a bush right in front of this, and the PIR lights do hit that a little bit, which kind of makes it wash out a little more than I would like, but that's more of my placement of it and not necessarily because of the camera itself. There also is a status light letting you know if this is on or off. Now we come down to our PTZ motion head with our dual lens system. You have two lenses. You have a wide angle, which we'll call camera 1, which has a 1/3 CMOS sensor with a video resolution of 3840 by 2160, and you can get 20 frames a second from that. The field of view is 104 degrees horizontal with 60 vertical, and it does support digital pinch to zoom. The secondary camera is a telephoto with a 1/2.8 CMOS sensor with a video resolution of 1920 by 1080. With this one, you have 38 degrees horizontal field of view and 21 degrees vertical. This one, however, supports 6 times hybrid zoom. So as it's tracking, it can zoom in on a target. You can also pinch to zoom in the application, but the important part is that hybrid zoom that will follow and zoom in on somebody as they're walking through frame. Because this is a PTZ camera, you have a pan range of 355 degrees with a tilt range of 50. Now, I do wish that that was a little better, and I feel it could track a little higher, especially for where I have this placed. It also has auto tracking of 270 degrees. You can, as you see it move to follow me as I was adjusting something, have up to 64 predetermined positions for that pan tilt camera to move through. So if you needed to get somewhere very quickly, instead of using the controls, you can snap to a location. At the bottom of the ball head, there is a weather stripped flap that has the micro SD card slot. This can support up to a 512 gigabyte micro SD card. It also supports Reolink's NVR server, Reolink's Home Hub, or an FTP/NAS server. Reolink does also offer cloud storage, but it is not required for this camera to function. Also, underneath that flap, we have our restart button if you need to access it. On the top of the camera, there's not a lot to look at. Really, it's just a mounting location so that you can place it above if you didn't want to do a wall mount like I had. Likewise, on the back, really, it's just mounting hardware for it, and I'll throw that in as we look at it before I actually put it up. But what you're going to do to get this off, you simply kind of put your finger there, touch that there, boom, pops off. Here you've got your mounting plate. There's a level in there. That's all padded. It's very nice. If we come to the back here, this is our wiring. This can be used either with a junction box that you already have set up for one of these type of lights, or they sell a very long extender cable that you can use with this in order to just plug this in and mount it up. This right here is your hanging lanyard. Because this is an outdoor camera, it does have an IP rating of 66, and during my time, it has been snowed on, it has been rained on, but do keep in mind, generally this is going to live under like an eave, so it's not going to get directly rained on, but it has proven itself very well in that type of weather. Operating temperature for this is 14 degrees up to 131 degrees. Probably will never get to the maximum range, but I have had this down to about 19 degrees. Floodlight camera itself operates over Wi-Fi and supports both the 2.4 gigahertz as well as the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum on Wi-Fi 6. So at time of filming, not the most top of the line Wi-Fi out there, but still really good for a smart home camera considering others still use Wi-Fi 5. It supports Google Alexa as well as its voice assistant.
Now that we've gone over our general specs, what's next? Well, that's to see what else we get in the box with this floodlight camera.
TrackFlex Light instruction manual, Reolink accessories. So how to set it up, I'm going to say. Mounting sticker, Reolink surveillance sticker, and then warm up tips. Tight squeeze to get everything out of there, but mounting bolts, accessory bolts. So here we've got locking, and that's pin probably for our SD card. We've got mounting plates, so we've got screws and anchors. We've got a USB A to C cable. This will be for setup. And then we've got some wire caps. The Flex Light itself.
Now that we know everything that comes with our camera, what do we do next? Well, that's going to be setup.
It is required that you set this up before actually mounting it somewhere. So let me show you what that was like. First things first, before you mount this outside, you're gonna have to attach it to your Reolink. So they provide you with the USB-C, and we're just gonna give that a second. There is a blue light shining right there. We're not necessarily going to take the plastic off the front yet, just because of how setup is. I wanna protect all of this. So we're going to open the Reolink app, press the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner, and we've got to scan a QR code, which is located on the backside of one of the lights here. And now it's going to start talking. We're going to try and quiet that a little bit. So we've got the option to do either standalone or with the hub. So we're going to do standalone, and we're going to say configure Wi-Fi. Okay, the device is powered on. Yeah, I've heard the voices. Believe me, I've heard the voices. Next. And now it's going to connect to it via Bluetooth. Connection successful. And now it's trying to move around on you.
Welcome to Reolink. Please install the Reolink app and scan the QR code on the camera.
On this page, you're going to put in your password for your Wi-Fi and then select next and let it do what it does. I'll give that a second. All right. Start initialization. We have to come up with an admin password for this, but I'm going to turn off the illegal lockout at the bottom. So we're going to do this real quick. Once you enter your password, it'll let you know if it's good or not. Got to do that twice. Hit next. Where is this going to be located? I say it's on the garage, but this is naming your device. So we will say front garage. There is a micro SD card in there. I put it in there already to try and avoid the noise. So we're going to hit next. Yeah, we're going to format that. We'll give it a second to format the SD card. Last is sharing this device with others. It's going to show you a QR code. I'm not going to do that. We're just going to uncheck that. And now it's going to walk you through start to install. So where are we going to do this? US or Canada? I'm going to wall mount this, turn off all the breakers, give you a general idea of where you should be putting this, things to avoid. So you're going to pull the back plate off, install the junction box. So you've got install without, which is going to be like this, or install. I've installed it. It's kind of walking you through it. So we're just going to next, showing you the wiring diagram, connection of the wires, locking it in place, peeling everything off, turning things on, and then congratulations, you're good to go. And it says try it now. So it says required AC for fully functionalness. Got to work on installation. Once you have the floodlight camera set up, you move on to installation. As I mentioned in several other videos that I've done around my house with the wiring for this, I'm not able to do it myself because I'm still trying to fix things from the previous owner. So I did have to have an electrician come in, and I don't like to film them because they don't like to be filmed when they're working. But I did ask them after the fact how easy he felt this was to do and put in place. And with basic electrical skills, you can get this in place as long as your wiring and junction box are all good. He said it was probably a 3 to 4 out of 10 for the actual difficulty of putting this into place. What he did actually like and use was the fabric hook on the back to hook it up while he was wiring things up. So I can say electrician approved. Now that you have your camera set up and installed where you like it, what's next? Well, that's all the smart functionality that the camera can do. And that's all controlled in the application. But before we jump into the app, I wanted to mention one thing. There's a lot of AI things that this camera can do that you'll see in the application. What I want to point out now, before we even get into that, is Reolink is one of the few companies that does not charge you a subscription fee to access those smarts. So keep that in mind as we move through one of the most comprehensive consumer-based applications I feel that's currently on the market today. Here we can see on the main Reolink homepage here, breaks it down into each of the individual camera feeds. We have a quick toggle for our settings, but we're going to click into it to open things up so that we can see what's going on. And you'll notice how quickly that loads up. Because this is a powered solution, you're going to get results and things much faster. Now, some of these might be tricky to see, but we're going to try and talk about all of them along the top here. Sadly, it is during my winter months, so it's a little white out. Over here in the upper left-hand corner, this will have your camera name, your camera's bit rate. As we move over to the right, this icon here, this is to set off your alarm. If you tap on this, you will get this, which will allow you to then press it and set off your alarm. I like that Reolink gives you an extra step to set off your alarm, just in case you happen to be doing it by accident. To the right of the alarm is the torch or flashlight. If I select this, it will turn on the lights outside, but you can also see that there's a blue hue in front of the torch letting you know that it's on. They are completely adjustable from brightness and color temperature, so we'll discuss that a little later. To the right of our torch, we have single view versus multi-view. Now, I want you to notice that when you select your single view as to which camera it picks. Now, it is picking the wider field of view, and you can tell that because it says TrackFlex Floodlight -1. That's indicating that it is my primary camera. If I do this, we can now see 2 and 1, just to give you an idea of what happens when you go into that single view. To the right of that is our settings. We'll talk about that momentarily. Next to our settings, we've got our day-night mode. Right now I have it on auto, which will switch between the two based on available lighting. We have black and white mode, which will keep it in night mode all the time. And then we have color mode, which will put it into black and white mode, but not use the IR lights or use the LEDs. Coming down, we have, and again, tricky to see in the bushes there, that is a pause. So if you wish to stop your live feed, you can do that right there. You can see the live feeds back up because the bushes are moving. Next to that, we have our audio. Then we have a camera icon. This camera icon will allow you to take a still of whatever happens to be going on in both the camera feeds, which is important. We'll touch on that a little later. To the right of our camera, again, tricky to see. This is a camera icon or video icon, which will record in real time anything that's happening in the live feed. So if there was motion going through, I would be capturing that right now. There you go. It's going to save both those video feeds. To the right of that, much easier to see on my blacktop here, high, which is clear and fluent. This is the high video settings versus the low video settings. This is the one place that I knock Reolink for using odd language, but this will be your 4K versus your not 4K. Next to that, we have our full screen mode. If I select this, you could see we get a side-by-side for the full screen mode, as well as our controls are moved over here to the side. We can shrink this down, and I'll show you what happens if I do that on our single view. Here we go, full screen. Takes up much more of the real estate because you only have one camera to deal with. However, if you're getting something like this, you're getting it for that dual camera view. To zoom in on the TrackFlex on either one of these, you do have to pinch to zoom. There we go. So there is your zoom with the wide field of view, and then we'll come in here and zoom in there. That is a Connecticut plate. I could tell that in both of these. I could kind of make out letters there, but this is probably a rental car for somebody in the neighborhood, and I don't want to actually show that in the video. And then double tap it will pull the zoom back out. As we make our way down, we have 3 icons along the bottom. First is our talk icon. If I select this, I can tap to talk, and now the people outside can hear me. I'm going to turn that off because there actually are a lot of people around today, so I don't want them wondering why my garage is talking to them. To the right of our talk, we have our PTZ controls. Now, this is, as you might imagine, simple up, down, left, and right, but you can either tap like that, but I'm already at the maximum, so maybe if I tap down, it'll make more sense. You'll see the camera move, but we can also drag it down or to the right as a joystick. So you don't just have to tap, you can manually move it around by dragging, and then we'll put it all the way back to where it was. And the one thing I wish that it had was a indicator letting you know, hey, you've reached the maximum of what the camera's capability was. I've tested a couple others that let you know with like a blue hue or a red hue saying, hey, this is as far as you can go. But just under our control pad, you'll notice speed. I can select this and adjust plus or minus in increments of 1 how fast I want the pan tilt to go, which I really like the fact that it's right there and I don't have to go digging to try and find that. To the right of our pan tilt controls, we have our motion points. Right now, this is the set point where it will return to 0 after it tracks somebody. I reset this point so that it makes a little more sense. You saw what the image was before, which is what we're looking at now. If I hit reset, that tells it this is now the true center point. This is where you'll return back to. Now, to express this, if I come over to the side of my house again, and then come back here, I can select return to motion point, which will have the camera come back around. We have the ability to reset our monitor point, which is very similar to what I did up there. Auto return to motion point, on or off, and then interval in seconds. So how long after it's tracked something does it come back to this original set point? That's all under our motion point. To the right of that, we have our presets. Now, right now I do have one preset. If I wanted to set another one, I would come over here and I would move this to where I want it. So we'll say hypothetically here, come back to my presets, select the plus sign, add a name, hit confirm, and now I have spot number 2, which will allow me to quickly toggle between 2 points. We can delete them, we can edit them if we want, and we can add more. I can also come back to my motion point and say, go back to my preset right there. To the right of our preset points, we have our calibration mode. This will move the camera through its calibration, bringing it to its true center point. And here you can see it's going to go left to right. It's going to go all the way back and then up and down. And then it has calibrated itself. And then we have our X, which will bring us out of our PTZ controls. To the right of our PTZ, we have our playback. We'll give that a second to load because there is a lot of information this is looking through, because I happen to have this on the front of my house where there's a lot of things that happen. And you can kind of see that down here. Up at the top, we're going to talk about a few things really quick. We have search. I'll touch on that in a moment. We have our ability to speed up or slow down. So we can go as fast as 16 times or as slow as 0.25. We can delete and we can download things right from here. And that's the clip that we happen to be on right now. Now, coming back to the search. This is Reolink's advanced search mode, which will allow you to look for specific things. So I can search for a person and a time range, and then I could say person with red clothing. In this case, I can search for a deer, and we'll see if that'll actually bring it up, because I have had deer walk through my front yard. And here we go. We can see it's bringing up the pet icon, and this is filling me with hope, because if I select one of these, this is generally the path that the deer move through. And there you can see there is a deer that the camera was able to catch. Now, if I wanted to look for something else, I was out there before doing some tests and I was wearing a camo jacket. Let's see if that will actually pick it up. I apparently need to change it to a person. Now we'll have it search. And that is me with a camouflage jacket out. So that is pretty good. We're going to do another test because it could just be looking for a person. So we're going to do person walking a dog and have it search for that, because I don't have a dog and I do have people that walk dogs in front of my house. So right now this is showing persons, but this is mostly just me walking out front, although this might be a person walking a dog. All right, it's a person walking, not necessarily walking a dog, But even though this, I feel, requires a little more fine tuning, it's still really good instead of having to just scrub through video, which can be a bit of a pain. Speaking of our video, if we come right here, just like we had on our live feed, we have a play pause, we have a volume, we can take a snapshot, we can take a recording, we can change high versus low for the video feed. Make sure you change this because if you don't, you're going to download low res video, even if your camera is taking high res video. And then we have full screen. Now, each of these lines that you might see across here, these white dashes, indicate this is an action that it happened to pick up. So if I scrub over to one, that's a vehicle, that's motion, that's the alarm being set off. Motion, that's a car, that's the alarm again. And I'll show you on a different track for persons and pets, things of that nature. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come down to our timeline here, which we can change the view by selecting the dashes over here. So this is more of a grid style versus the timeline. We can select our date. If I select this, you can see anything that has the white is going to indicate that has a recording. And if we come back, you could see I've got a recording there. I can select confirm. And this is basically when I was doing just motion because this can do 24/7 recording. I'm going to select my filter and say, just show me persons, just show me animals, and then select confirm. This is now going to limit my timeline to just people or pets. So here I go. I will select this and this will bring up a pet. So there's a dog right there with a person walking, but we can scrub through our timeline here. If I select another one, there's a cat that ran through frame real quick, but this will help make it much easier to find things if you use your filtering. But just like I mentioned before, that white dash right there, if there's a person and if there was a pet, it would show it there as well. But that is our timeline view here. I'm going to pause that because we're going to come up to our download because I want to show you what that looks like. It's going to load both of your camera feeds. You can shrink down the clip size. So if you have a minute-long clip and you only need 11 seconds, you can move your sizing handles and then select download. Now do notice that even though the trigger is showing for both of them at the same time, each of these is counted as a separate video feed. So you will have two separate video files, which as I've tested cameras like this, I appreciate the separate video feeds more than I do having it stitched together. But that has been everything that we can do for the camera controls. Let's move on to settings. Coming up to the sprocket icon that we skipped before, this is going to be the settings for our camera. Starting here at the top, we have information that if I tap on that, kind of sensitive, won't be showing you that, but it's the name, firmware, all that. It also shows you at a glance the usage of your SD card and then if it's connected via Wi-Fi or not. Coming down, we have our Wi-Fi credentials. So if you ever need to change your Wi-Fi network, this is where you would do that. Next, under that, we have display. If I select this, there's a lot of things that we can do here, but notice it's only going to show us for the top camera. So whatever we do to the top camera will also happen to the secondary bottom camera. So we can flip this vertically. So if you happen to mount this differently, you can change that. We can also flip horizontally. So the cars being on the right, now the cars will be on the left. Coming down, we have stream. This is going to be your stream quality. So this is the high versus low or clear versus fluent. If we select one of these, we can make changes to some of this, such as our frame rate. Right now, we're at the default of 20, but we can lower our frame rate. Likewise, we can adjust our bit rate. So this is our default. We can minimize that or lower it. And if you make any changes, just make sure to hit save. We have a specific just for our frame rate for both of them, as well as our bit rate. So variable or continuous, which will allow it to adjust if needed or just have a flat bit rate. That's all under our stream. We have motion mask. If you turn this on, you can kind of see right now it's already doing it. If it detects motion, it will put a blue box around something. This is the one problem I have with it. It was motion masking cars even though they weren't moving. And since I have this in my driveway, it was showing two things around cars, which was a little less useful for me. But data point just for you to be aware of. We have our camera name, where it's located, top, bottom, left. You have lots of options as well as hiding it. You have your logo watermark, which is the Reolink. You could turn that on or off. Notice that I do have the date hidden, which you can, just like with anything else, select its location. We have our image settings. From here, we can adjust the brightness. So let's say right now, because I'm in my winter months, there's a lot of snow out there. If I want to lower the brightness, I can do that to kind of offset some of that. But right there, you can see I offset it way too much. Car going through view. We're going to put that back to what it was at, which was the default, which was about 128. There we go. Anti-flicker. You can change this between 50, 60, off, or other. What that is LED lights. It's most noticeable with cars or lighting. Just know, by default, it should be set for your region. Under that, we have day-night mode. So we have switch mode. Auto, again, based on that light, lighting outside. Color constantly stays in day mode. Black and white constantly stays in black and white mode. And then we have our black and white cut over threshold. So we can actually adjust how dark or how light it is before it makes that transition to the other mode. I really like that Reolink gives you that option. Not a lot of other manufacturers do. Here we have color day, black and white, and color night mode. What this is, if I leave it on auto, it'll automatically make changes, but we have the ability to change highlights, brightness, shadows, all for individual things, such as the color, the black and white, and the color night mode. I like that this is there. I wish they had a preview so that I could see what I was doing. That was all under our day-night mode. Coming down, we have our privacy mask. This will allow us to create a do not look at area. Now notice we have two different cameras. We have the wide angle and we have the tracking. So we can set this up for each of them. So let's say right now that right there, I don't want on that one. I can come over here and I'm just gonna block that out on the tracking one and I'm gonna hit save. And it's gonna save them for both. So now what happens for the privacy mode in the live feed, in recordings, you're not gonna be able to see that because that's there. The one problem with this on a pan tilt camera is if I come over here and I move the camera, those are fixed in place. They're not covering the cars, they're covering a specific area on the video. So they're not as useful for something that's moving around. Just keep that in mind if the camera's going to be moving around a lot. That was all under our display. We still have more to go through. Coming down, we have our sound. We have record audio. By default, this is off. So if you want to record audio in your video, make sure to come in here and turn that on. You have your sound test, which is kind of the audio that you have from the camera. You can test it to see how loud it is. And then we have noise reduction, which is really nice. It uses AI to kind of get some of that background noise out, which actually it does a very good job with. Next, we have our light. We have LED status light, close or enabled. This is on and off. Again, wish it was labeled a little differently, but it is what it is. We have floodlight. Right now I have it on close, which means the floodlight stays off unless it detects motion. Auto mode automatically adapts the brightness based on the ambient light. So that's going to have it go on all the time based on how dark it is. Always on at night, meaning the floodlight will just turn on when it's dark out. And then you have timer mode, which will let you set start time and end time for having the LEDs on. You also have a brightness slider as well as a color temperature slider. So do you want a warmer light versus a cooler light? Again, Reolink is all about customization. Coming down, we have infrared light, which is on or off. So auto, it just turns itself on when it gets dark out. Moving on, we have detection alarm. This is one of the things that Reolink does differently. It has a non-detection zone, which might be a little tricky to see, but I grayed it out across the top there. But I can paint right there. Might be a little easier to notice. So you can paint a zone, you can erase by hand, you can select erase all, you can paint all, lots of options. And again, this is for do not detect or notify me in this area. Moving on, we have sensitivity, motion sensitivity. It allows you to change just how sensitive it is. And I could say at testing it at 41, it has been pretty good. You also have add a sensitivity schedule. So start time, end time, and then during that time, you could select how sensitive you want it to be. If you don't want to have it all the time at high, that's really cool if you need to have more sensitivity overnight maybe than you do during the day because you're around. Smart detection, well, this allows you to set individual sensitivity for people, vehicles, and animals. Because I'm on an active street, I've lowered my vehicle sensitivity. Alarm delay, well, this will allow you to, if you have an alarm set, delay how quickly it goes off. So like for a car, I want to give them a chance to get out of there. For an animal, I also want to give them a chance. But for a person, no, set that alarm off immediately. Object size, this could be very useful, especially if you're dealing with vehicles. So you can set this for person, vehicle, and animal, and then you set a minimum or a maximum object size. So to explain this, for an animal, we have minimum object size. So if I bring this into frame here, I could say it needs to be at minimum this big before you notify me. So that's about a cat, and then I'll get a notice. So squirrels, not so much. Maximum size says, don't tell me if it's any bigger than this. And this would be useful for specific cars. If you get a lot of semi-trucks, you don't want to see that. You could say anything bigger than that, you're not going to get notified of. And then you could delete them, and you could even set up several of them. Moving down, we have out of view detection. So you can turn this on or off, and this is going to use the sensors along the side, and then you could set left, middle, and right how sensitive you want them to be for it to detect something that's out of the camera's view. Now this is something I really like, and I did test over here. I walked up and the camera snapped to me even though it couldn't see me because of these out of view detection. So this is a great feature that the TrackFlex has. Auto tracking, on or off, that's going to follow things like tracking type. In my case, I have person and animal, and then you could set vehicle. Again, I'm on a busy road. I don't necessarily want that to track vehicles. But then here, this is something that I really appreciate, and that is the fact that it's tracking priority. If a person and an animal are in frame, who's getting tracked first? And in my case, I care about the person over the animal. I really think other manufacturers are going to learn from this, because this is gold in my opinion. Moving down, we have tracking method. You have digital tracking first, or pan tilt tracking first. So what this means is, one, digital tracking, it won't move the camera around, it will just follow them digitally. Digital tracking first means it digitally follows them until it can't, and then it moves the camera. Pan tilt first means, well, it's going to start moving the camera around right away to better lock on to them. Play with this, figure out which one works best for you. Based on where I have mine, digital first works okay, and then I have it pan to follow them. Horizontal tracking range. This will allow you to set a furthest most point, and that's going to be left or right. And you can see I've set that already, because after this, it's just going to record my wall, and then after that, it's just going to record the front of my garage. You can go into settings, and then notice at the top, it says left. You would set it, and then confirm, and then it would do right. And then you can confirm. You can also clear this if you already have things set up like I do. And then down here, under that, we have our schedule. And right now, I just have it enabled all the time, which I don't know why you wouldn't. But if you don't want it to track, you could set up a don't track during. All right, here we have time to stop tracking. So object stops, I say 30 seconds, and then it will stop tracking. Object disappears, 20 seconds for me. You could do 10 up to 60, then it stops tracking. That's all under our detection and alarms. Moving on, we have camera recording. You turn that on or off. You have your motion record schedule. If you come in here, you have the ability to change your detection type. So what do you want it to do? For me, I just want people and animals, and then record all the time. You can erase all, you can make edits here. Just make sure to set up your motion recording. Post-recording duration, 15, 30, or a minute. That means once movement is stopped, how long will it keep recording for? And then we have our continuous recording schedule. If you want this to record 24/7, come in here, set it up. Highly recommend, since this is a powered device, as long as you have a large enough SD card in there, there's no reason not to have 24/7 recording, which based on where I have it, I really wanted 24/7 recording. Coming down, we have push notification. Right now I have this turned off, but you can turn this on. And once it's turned on, you can set your device ringtone. You can set a schedule. This is important because, again, you can set your detection type. So, hey, I only want to be notified of a person or an animal, or maybe I care about a vehicle that comes into the front of my yard. You have the ability to set your individual preferences, which I greatly appreciate. You have your snooze alerts. This I also appreciate. If I'm out there, not right now, well, maybe now, shoveling, I can snooze my alerts for a minimum of 30 minutes up to 24 hours, so I don't constantly get bombarded while I'm out there shoveling my snow. And then push notification interval, 20 seconds up to 120. I really wish Reolink would let you go lower. Right now, 20 is the minimum 10 or 5, I wish they let you do. Personal opinion. Coming down, we have email alerts. If you want to get alerts sent to your email instead of sent to your phone, you could set this up and have them emailed to you. FTP, right now I have this turned off, but if you know what FTP is, you can turn it on and set it up so that you can utilize FTP with the camera. If you don't know what it is, probably stay out of there. Light alert, well, here we go. What will it do? Turn the spotlight on. When it detects, in my case, a person, don't care about animals, out of view events, which is again, that detection to the sides or in the front if it's not seen by the camera. This is really good like that. You can set what it's going to detect for and then what it's going to do. Continuous flashing or stay on, and then for how long. So 30 seconds up to 15 minutes. And then the brightness level. Under our light alert, we have our siren. You can turn this on or off. You have your siren sound. You have default, or you could do a custom sound, which if you select here, you could start talking and this will be your custom sound outside. Notice how long it gives you. It's about 5 seconds. Once you do that, you can apply or you can test the sound, which would put it outside, or you could re-record it. Again, I have a lot of people around right now, so I don't want to do that to them. You have a schedule. So if there's a specific time that you wish this to happen during, and then what events do you wish this to have? Again, Reolink gives you a level of customization unseen in other consumer-based applications, which I really enjoy. Linked devices, I don't have any, but you could press the plus sign up there and then set up a linked device for this camera. Coming down, we can also share this device by adding another user. And again, customization is key. You can allow this user to have management controls of this camera or only view the camera. You could set an authorization timeline as well as a remark. And then you could generate an authorization code to send them. So security, 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 and customization. Time lapse, giving you a couple of presets here for event, people, traffic, moving clouds, sunrise, sunset, construction, blooming, or you can customize it where you could set the start of the capture, the duration, the interval, the quality. Again, make sure you set that for the high, which is the clear, and then file type. If you're doing something like time lapse, make sure to do a video file. If you do photos, you're gonna have to stitch those together on your own. Under that, we have file encryption. If you turn this on, it's going to ask you for the authentication code, which is the code that you set up with the camera. And that will make it so that even if the camera or the SD card is taken, people won't be able to access it unless it's in the camera and it has that decrypt code. Under that, we have advanced, which will allow you to turn on or off your illegal lockout. You can change the device password. You can set your date and time. You can reboot your camera. You can restore your camera, which will restore to factory. And if we come down, we have installation method, United States or Canada or other. So you could select, this is what I'm doing. I'm either doing a wall or a ceiling. And if you select it, it's going to walk you through all the steps. Under that, we have log out a device and then delete this device. And that has been everything that we can do for the Reolink TrackFlex Floodlight in the Reolink app. Now that we've seen everything we can do to control our camera through the application, what's next? For me, that's testing. I like to start with audio. Let's take a listen.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, pen test.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
Reolink alarm test. One other thing I like to test, because this is a PTZ camera, is actually the sound that you get as the ball head moves around when you're standing next to it or in the video, because you want to know, do you actually hear anything from this as it's tracking somebody? Let me show you what that's like. Honestly, if you're right up on top of it, you can hear something, but from a decent distance away, I can't hear it.
This is audio test for seeing if the camera makes any sound while it's following me. I'm going to talk really loud and walk through snow for this, just to see if I can make sure that this doesn't make any motor sounds for you. Back up and do this and not fall on my face.
With audio out of the way, we move to our video portion. First and foremost, I want to say that there is going to be a link to the raw video footage that you get from this camera, as video samples will be downscaled to 1080 for this video. One other thing is, what happens if two people happen to come into frame? I was able to trick this a few times where it would stop tracking the first target and then start following the second target. And I think that's partially due to placement of this and where I have the tracking set to stop, which is why it would follow the secondary person who came into frame. Sadly, my assistant doesn't like to be in the videos, so I can't show you that portion, but just know, consider placement and cutoff points if you are concerned about tracking more than one thing. Yes, I do like the fact that it gives you priority of person, pet, or vehicle, and you can shift those around, but I was testing this with 2 people in the frame. But with that out of the way, now we move on to actual test video footage.
Originally it moves pretty good, honestly. There we go. Took it a minute. Yep, back it up. Digital. Digital makes it so if you face that way, it's still following. Pretty good. Kind of. Originally it moves pretty good, honestly. There we go. Took it a minute. Yep, back it up. Digital. Digital makes it so if you face that way, it's still following. Pretty good. I have to like stop and redo this a couple times. It keeps turning. Like I just did there, I don't want that. So we're just doing low light. I have to like stop and redo this a couple times. It keeps. Like I just did there, I don't want that. So we're just doing low light. Alright, so in order to get this to not turn on the LED lights, I had to turn off the detection settings. So it's not quite getting me as well as it did before. Just kind of give you a basic idea. So I'm going to zoom over here. Okay. Alright, so in order to get this to not turn on the LED lights, I had to turn off the detection settings. So it's not quite getting me as well as it did before. Just kind of give you a basic idea. Down. Right. Yeah, that's it. A little better now. Zooming. Ooh. That is pretty bright. Okay. Hard there. Yeah, that's it. A little better now. Zooming. Ooh. That is pretty bright. Okay. Hard there.
With our video samples out of the way, the next test I like to do is a detection speed test. This is a powered solution, so it uses a pixel-based motion sensor, which is going to be a faster detection speed than you get from a battery-powered camera using PIR sensors. However, this also uses PIR sensors to detect things that are not within the view of its camera. So let me show you what it was like for both.
When I get to about that post there, it should see me. And this will be the close-up test, so we'll get this started right here and see how long it takes to notify me. All right, I was a little short on that myself. We'll say probably about 3.2 seconds. Not bad at all. This will be an interesting one. I'm going to do side scan, so we're going to see how that does. Again, 5G. We'll start it here. I saw it swing over. Yeah, all right. So, lovely white background is making it a little hard to see. There you go, 4.7. I watched it, the camera flipped around, and I know it didn't see me, so that's pretty good.
There has been a lot of things that I liked about this camera. In fact, it's why I agreed to review it for Reolink, because I was looking for something like this. But that does not mean that this is a 100% perfect camera. It does have a few cons that I want to bring to your attention for your own data points. First and foremost being the rubber flap underneath that hides or protects the SD card. The other Reolink floodlight camera that I've tested has a locking where you screw things in to keep that in place. Yes, I know you can take the screws out, but screws are a little safer to me than just a rubber flap. I really wish they would have thought of a better solution for that. The camera head could also track a little higher. Again, not just because of the bush that's in the way here, but just I feel like if I'm getting this for further down my driveway, it needs to be able to track a little higher so I can see faces further out than when relying on it when they get closer. The cutover between the IR to the LEDs could be a little faster because there's kind of that moment where it's switching over. The camera loses sight of what it's looking at. I've got a couple examples here that you might be able to see. So I wish that that was a little faster so that I could continue to see what's going on. I'm getting this for the LED lights, not for the IR lights. Last is I wish the secondary camera was better than 1080. I wish it was a 2K. It does a decent job, honestly, but I wish, because of that hybrid zoom, that I had a little better resolution to work with more than 1080. 2K really, in this day and age, I would have thought would have been a minimum. But those are just a few data points that I want to bring to your attention about this camera. Overall, if you're in need of a camera floodlight and would like to have the benefits of a PTZ camera, then the Reolink TrackFlex Floodlight could be what you're looking for. Even with the 1080 hybrid zoom camera, it still does a great job at keeping an eye on everything 24/7 at my home, and I can strongly recommend it. I was looking for an option like this and actually will be keeping this up as part of my permanent smart home setup. Does this sound like the floodlight camera you've been looking for? I will have a link where you could pick one up for yourself in the description area below. Or if you don't like clicking on links, I have a QR code up on screen that you can scan to bring you directly to Reolink's website to pick it up from them. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making comprehensive videos like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Still not sure this is the right outdoor camera for you? On screen now, you'll see 2 other reviews that I've done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.